Good morning and welcome to this week's vlog update. Pretty momentous week at my end. I just completed the handover into the role of Melbourne Coordinator for the Australian Songwriters Conference yesterday morning, or I guess it was afternoon by the time we wrapped up. Caroline, the previous Melbourne Coordinator, has very kindly agreed to stick around and help out at the back end with a few things. So she will still be creating the graphics and social media stuff for the Melbourne Circle, which is a huge relief because, yeah, I'm not really a social media fan. I do it because, you can't really do anything artisty without having to be on social media, unfortunately. But I would love to not have to muck around with it. So fortunately, Caroline has very kindly agreed to cover that. And it's really just the events that go up on Facebook and create the graphics to go along with those. And during the Zoom sessions, she's also kindly offered to help with letting people into the Zoom room and keeping tabs on the chat. So that is also going to be a huge relief because anyone who knows me knows that multitasking is not one of my greatest gifts. I struggle trying to just listen to someone talk and read a chat box at the same time, never mind trying to facilitate an event and let people in and do stuff in a chat box that just, yeah, would have made my head explode and or made the session just a series of awkward silences and me rambling in between them. So it's really great that Caroline is going to be able to stick around and help with that. Whew. Yeah, and other than that, she gave me a sort of tour of the various documents and resources and templates and things that I'll need. So yeah, I've taken a few notes, which I'm sure will come in handy. And yeah, she's still going to be around to harass with questions, which is fantastic. That's a huge relief. So yeah, that's my big update this week. And then of course I've also been invited to speak as a facilitator in the Sydney Circle later this month on July 18th, which is a Monday. I and another sort of project management professional who also happens to be a songwriter like myself, Renee Jonas. She's a very successful Australian country music artist, and so she will be talking also about project management and how it can be applied within a music career and songwriting context. So it's it's going to be a really good session. We've kind of divvied it up in I'm going to open with a sort of, I'm basically going to be a case study. So I'll talk about how I went about creating my own documents for the release of my debut EP, It's Yours, earlier this year because, I didn't have anything. It was the first time I tried to release anything. And so I just kind of tried to understand what exactly needed to happen when, put it down in a document, and then all this other stuff needs to happen. And so it actually turned into a suite of documents that I used to sort of map out and strategize my release and the materials and contacts that would, need to be involved. And that was all kind of by the seat of my pants based on my previous professional work in project management and communications and business operations. I kind of drew on all of that to apply it in this new context of releasing music, which was really, that was such a valuable experience. I learned so much. And it was really fun also just being able to apply something like that, which has been kind of a professional bread and butter, into a new avenue of artistic pursuit. So for my end, I'm just going to be a case study and talk about that. I didn't really apply anything formal or technical or get hold of any documents or, use the, you know, whatever technique for this and this and that technique for this other thing. But fortunately, in the second half, Renee is going to be talking to all of those technical terms and formal approaches and all of that, using, again, me as an example of why flying by the seat of my pants worked, because it essentially applied the general principles of those established formal frameworks. So I'm really glad that Renee is covering all that because I, to be completely honest, I find that kind of stuff a little bit dry. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about boring terms and frameworks and I would even fall asleep just trying to listen to myself probably. So really glad that Renee is covering that end, and she seems really enthusiastic about all that stuff, which is amazing and fantastic. And I'm so glad that she is, yeah, going to be sort of co-presenting with me in the workshop there. So she'll be taking my just random haphazard Jen approach to stuff and saying that wasn't a complete disaster because underpinning it with these other shiny things. So yeah, it'll be a great session. In terms of actual songwriting, as I've mentioned, I'm starting to work with Ben on developing some songs for release later this year. And we'll be meeting up tomorrow morning for our next session, and that's going to be really cool. We'll be going through the very first duet that I ever tried writing, which also happens to be my very first attempt at writing rap. So yeah, it's a super fun, cheesy, kind of disco-y vibe EDM track again, with a theme of cheesy pickup lines at a bar. So it's going to be a fun time. We've already started developing it a little bit in last week's session. And I've gone and made some changes and then recorded some updated draft vocal for it at my end and uploaded all of that last night. So that'll be ready and waiting to go for tomorrow morning. And yeah, I'm hoping that we can have it all wrapped up by the end of tomorrow's session. And then we will have one song at least that is ready to go and ready to start practicing in preparation for recording in August with Joel at Black Lodge, and Em's going to come along, and it'll be fun times as it always is. At least in my life, right? Always fun times or something. Something is generally still fun just because I say it is, right? Like, no, this is fun. I have decided I am having fun. That is how I roll, in case you hadn't noticed. All is fun because I say so. Anyway, I will sign off now and hopefully catch you next time.